TNA Against All Odds 2007. Look, it's the beginning of arguably Christian's best run in his career. However, we're also in peak Vince Russo era. So we got things on poles. We got things in cages. We got tuxedos getting ripped off of big fat oily guys. We got fathers getting shot in the back. You might be asking, hardest part of the ring, is there going to be any wrestling on this show? Well, that's a loaded question, but you will find out right here on the Apron Bump Podcast.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started.
What is up, everybody? Howdy, howdy, howdy. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle Bird. Love it, love it, love it. I'm trying out the hat again. I don't know if I love it. Like, I like the side profile. I think the front makes me look like I have a yarmulke, but maybe that's just what hats are. But maybe I just need a fedora. Maybe I need a Stetson. Isn't that a hat? Clan hood, something. I need something that really fits my head better than this, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Hey! You guys ready to talk about some TNA? Because well, boy howdy. I'll tell you what. Talking about TNA is often more fun than watching it. That's not true. It actually is kind of. We talk about this in the episode. TNA in 2007. I mean, it is peak, like, just turn your brain off and just let it soak into you through osmosis. Like, it's just I can't put into words what we witnessed here. Actually, I can put it into words, but it'll take roughly an hour and a half, which is what a podcast is. So glad we're doing this. But we'll get right into the show here. But just to lay it out here, we got Christian versus Kurt Angle for the world title up top. We got street fights. We got LAX versus the Dudleys. We got Rhino and AJ Styles continuing their feud. We got the Inter AMW kind of debacle continuing on. The whole VKM and Christy Hemme thing that happened at the last show. The really awkward and just out of place shit. Yeah, that continues. And hey, gets worse. So, yeah, I mean, X Division stuff is here too, but that's not even that great. Like I said, I think the episode will speak for itself, but get ready for some peak WCW 2000 style wrestling here. So, it's a fun old time. And look, if you want to hop on this journey that we're on in the timeline of TNA, we started back in 2004 from their very first 3-hour pay-per-view, Victory Road 2004. And we've covered every single TNA pay-per-view all the way through 04, through 05, through 06 to here Against All Odds 2007, February of 07. So it's a lot of TNA that has been talked about on the Apron Bump. And if you want to relive all of that, it's a crazy journey. Go to the link in the description. That'll take you to apronbump.com, where all of the chronological TNA episodes are laid out for you. Or check out the playlist on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just type in TNA and it'll all be there for you. But it's a lovely, lovely time. Go binge away. TNA is just it always gives you something. It's always a strong flavor. You know what I mean? Like, it's never like a piece of candy. It's never like candy corn. You know what I mean? You know how candy corn, you just eat it and it doesn't taste like anything? With TNA, it's never that. It's always like a Sour Patch Kid or what candy tastes? What candies have strong tastes? I'm not a big candy guy. I'm a big candy ass, though. So that's something. You know who else is? Brett from the Brainbuster Boys and from the Phoenix Splash podcast. Returning to the show, always a hoot and a half with Brett here. Go check out Brett at Brainbuster Boys on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. All the socials will be in the description below. Brainbuster Boys is on a bit of a hiatus right now, but go check out the Phoenix Splash podcast if you're into Japanese wrestling or just general tomfoolery. Hell, go check out the Brainbuster Boys podcast. Just go check out the archive. I think they're pretty evergreen. I've appeared on a few of them. You know, we talked Royal Rumble 2000 at one point, which is pretty fun. So go check them out. Always a lovely, lovely time having them on. I want to just hop through the screen, squeeze his cheeks, and make milk come out of his nipples. When I see him. Yeah. So that was way unnecessarily vulgar, but we said it. I could cut it out, but I won't. Do that. Follow me at Apron Bump on all the social medias. Give the video a like, subscribe, bell, slap me, spit in my ear. Join the Discord as well. Shout out Brendan from the Discord who said that TNA in 2007 was always against all odds, which is very true because it is. Man, I can't even begin to. It's hard to put the dumpster fire that this show was into words, but we might as well just jump right into it, huh? TNA Against All Odds 2007 with myself and Brett from the Brainbuster Boys and from the Phoenix Splash podcast. What's up, you fucking slut? How's it going?
Oh, we're just getting started, getting dirty right away. I fucking love it.
Dirty, filthy whore.
Oh, God.
Fucking...
I'm ready to face fuck, buddy.
Dude, I don't think I totally read your last Twitter message because I had just woken up. Feel free to text, call, or face fuck me at. So can I face fuck you at your number? Is that?
And then I woke up. I was drunk. I woke up the next morning, and it. What? Here I am for the face fucking. Yeah. I wake up to that, and I'm like, "What the?" And I'm laying next to my girlfriend, and I'm like, what happened last night?" And then I'm like, "Oh yes, I heard 'Here I Am on the road again' at karaoke," and it reminded me of you.
Was this Valentine's Day? No, it was just after, I think. What a treat.
Slightly after, but yeah, glad to be back, man. It's been quite a minute,
dude. Glad to have you. How's life been?
Shit's been great, man. Life is golden.
Hell yeah.
And even better now since I'm gonna get a face full of fucking.
Well, it was good until I threw some 2007 TNA at you. Huh?
My God, what a time.
2007 was certainly.
Well, when you prefaced it, I looked at the card and I'm like, "Oh wow, stipulation, in just wild shit." And I just say to you, I'm like, "Yeah, this looks like a hoot." And you said it was peak TNA Russo, and you saying that, and immediately I'm like, "Yep, I know exactly what you mean." It felt a lot like 2000 WCW.
It's a thin line, let me tell you, because you sent me that. You said the card looks ridiculous, and I didn't know the card at the time because I was still watching all the impacts leading up to. I had an idea of what the matches would be.
Sure,
but then before I watched the pay-per-view, I pulled up Cage Match, and just looking at the card is pure comedy. Yeah. I mean, we got tuxedo matches, oily guys. Every match has some bullshit going on.
I'm pulling it up right now.
I mean, we'll dig balls deep into all of this, I'm sure. At least
big fat oily guy. Just seeing that on the card, I'm like, what the fuck?
What happens when you click his name? Is my question.
I did do that, and it says, excuse me. Kind of half cough buttoned myself. His name is Chase but that's spelled CHACE. D.
What an asshole.
Chase D. D-E-E. With alter egos, also known as Big Fat Oily Guy and Tiny the Bell Keeper.
And it links to his MySpace. Let's give this a check. What the fuck?
It says he's a ring announcer.
Sure, if that's what you want to call it. Match statistics? What do we got? What do we got? Okay, he's had 3 matches. He has 2 matches in 2007. So maybe we get a rematch from what we've seen on this show. Hopefully.
It was incredible.
But that is just the tip of the iceberg, man. Yeah, but TNA, how familiar are you with TNA, or maybe like this era of TNA?
Sure. Before COVID, when I just kind of did like a deep dive into a bunch of old wrestling shit I'd never seen, because what else the fuck are you doing during that time?
Yeah.
I hadn't really seen much TNA, throughout its course. I remember I watched one random pay-per-view in 2012 that was actually like pretty damn good.
Mhm.
It was, I know the main event was Austin Aries and Bobby Roode, and there was like a two out of 3 falls between the Machine Guns and Beer Money Inc.
I think
like
this was Destination X, I believe.
That's right. Like that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I remember I was living in Atlanta and I like streamed it live for whatever fucking reason. I must have seen or read something about it. I'm like, let's give it a shot, and it was good. And then I remember watching like the whole effing show and other like little bits in like 2010 ish. And then, like I said, in COVID, went back and watched some, and then I've seen a good chunk, like the 2005 stuff. But like this era, more so just spotty matches, not full show. Like I haven't seen any of these full pay-per-views, and boy, what a treat it was.
Dude, it is like...
Like I thoroughly was entertained. Like I enjoyed the watch, but it was a lot of dog shit. But like I had fun watching it.
Like I love me some bullshit in wrestling. Like we've talked a lot about it. I love a schmozzy finish. I love an overbooked main event.
Pearl Harbor job.
Come on, gimmicks. Putting places in front of Street Fight.
Mr.
Give it
Tacos.
To me. Oh man, I've really just thrown a lot of shit at you, haven't I?
It's
but
been wonderful.
By golly, I'm watching this show and I'm like,
bitch ass wiggers.
There were no bitch ass wiggers on this show. I don't think there probably was.
What was his name? Julius Smokes.
Julius Smokes.
That guy was outstanding.
You mean? Yeah, that fella.
Queued up.
Gotta love him.
Also, we don't need to get too much into this, but is wigger like an acceptable term these days? Or is that one been tossed to the curb? Because right when I said it, I kind of felt bad, and I didn't say it in the Julius Smokes voice, which
the R was a little hard on wigger when you just said it. Yeah, maybe just
this? Ain't nothing but a bitch ass wigger.
That's better for some reason. Okay. That's
why
me...
I felt bad saying it in my normal voice. It just felt horrible. So
there's no wiggers on this show. Yeah, it does sound a little rough when you have a certain tone.
We mean no offense to you people out there. Oh God, now it's just
to you people, he says. Well, direct all fan mail to brainbusteranal@orgy.com or whatever.
Yes, please.
Speaking of orgies, this whole show was an orgy of as I'm watching it, I'm like, is there going to be like a wrestling match at some point? Because it's like there's there's entertaining stuff, but TNA, I feel like in my head at least, it was like the company you could go to if you just wanted to see wrestling. Because like WWE obviously was doing their WWE thing, like all the DX shit and whatnot. But man, even like the X Division stuff on this show, like I don't think there was one clean finish on this show. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can't recall. I guess technically the Sting Abyss, because the rules, there were no rules. So like within the rules of a prison yard match, I would say that was a clean finish.
The well-known rules of a prison yard match. So worldwide, everybody knows it.
Yep. But yeah, no clean finish, just like 99 2000 WCW. So
yeah, they just kind of rolled into it.
Yep.
But I mean, the card's stacked though. Like from a
lot of talent here,
Hall of Fame talent from top to bottom, and it's just it was a rough one. I mean, see, I don't even know if I'm trying to understand if I liked the show or if I didn't.
It's a
like the
weird
show.
Fucking show, man. Especially the first hour was just bizarre.
Yeah,
and similarly, I'm like, this is bad, but for whatever reason, I am like enjoying watching. Like I had a good time.
Well, I would say the opening match debatably could be the match of the night?
That's a tough question because I just finished the show like no less than an hour ago. I watched almost all of it on Monday, watched the last hour plus today. So I'm kind of thinking about it, and I don't have an answer for you right now. But yeah, this one could certainly be
it out.
Just right and smack dab in the middle of the mix.
Yeah, I mean, it was bookended this show by some pretty good matches, but
yeah. Before we get into the matches, though, how about just
Please.
the intro video? Really
Great shit, right?
it really set the tone. One, how great is fucking Christian? I mean, obviously, what he's doing currently, we know, but I've seen just small bits of his TNA stuff, and mostly, again, just matches, less like character promo stuff. But again, like it's the instant classic. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then it's just firing through like important moments in history.
The Model T,
yes,
the Challenger, or whatever spaceship that was.
And then it's just instant class, and it's just all over the so fast, and like in my head, and you can't see my name because it's we don't have the tag up, but I said this show is
there.
Okay. It says this show is cocaine. Not that I've done it, but just that intro video is just and it just was so disorienting, but kind of great, and it was just all over, and then just one thing after the other and back. I sound like I'm on it right now. I promise I'm not. But
no, you're absolutely right. No, these intros, nuts. TNA, I mean, they always had really great production as far as their intros. They always gave the pay-per-view its own like feel to it until like it actually started. Then it's always in the same fucking place. But it's whatever. But
the intro got me pumped.
The instant classic, which I guess this is his debut of that nickname. That would go on to be like his main catchphrase or nickname, whatever.
Like he and Angle were both pretty fresh into TNA at this point, right?
Yeah. So Kurt has only been there for a few months.
Okay.
I mean, this is probably like his 4th or 5th match in TNA.
Yeah.
Christian's been there for about a year.
Okay.
But he's freshly heel though. So the character's fresh.
Yeah.
And I always until this recent run of Christian, I've always pointed to this era of Christian as his best work that he's ever done. And we're just getting off the ground with this, but I would say because he's kind of a running thread throughout the entire show.
This show alone, and obviously the video package that you see all the shit he did, I'm like, yeah, this is great. And a lot of the stuff he did in WWE, he didn't have the singles run as a great top character. When he finally won the world title, it was just as a squeaky clean baby face. But, I'm glad he's doing what he's getting the opportunity to do what he's doing now. And I'm glad to see this iteration as well, because it was great. Very entertaining.
It's crazy because I thought of this when they were doing the tail of the tape for his match. And I think at this point he had been wrestling for 11 years, I think it said. And this was what, 15 years ago ish. I can't do math right now, but he's been wrestling for almost 30 years. Yeah, at this point, and he's still going at the same pace, seemingly that he's always done, if not better. And he's more in shape. He's a marvel.
Granted, he did have about 7-8 years off, which
helps. That's true.
That's that's a lot of mileage missed and just toll on the body, but. Not to take away from him. And again, he truly is on the best run of his career right now.
Some might call him an instant classic. Some might call him my father. He's all of our fathers. Christian be my daddy. But speaking of daddies, we got a couple daddies in this Little Italy street fight.
I got some questions about that.
Throw them out. Well, what you got?
Well, I mean, I guess we can once we get into the match, they're answered. But just coming into it, I'm like, what the fuck is Little Italy about this shit?
Well, let me tell you.
Okay,
let me tell you. So Team 3D, of course, the Dudley Boys, for anyone unaware, they have been embroiled in a feud with the Latin American Exchange, Hernandez, Homicide, Conan. It started out just for the tag team titles. LAX are the current tag team champions. They had a match in the last pay-per-view. It was a schmozzy bullshit finish. And then it
naturally
turned personal where 3D, they took out Conan because he was the variable that was allowing them to win, allowing LAX to win. And so they hospitalized Conan. He's out there in a wheelchair. And LAX retaliated by invading, I guess, Bubba Ray's uncle's restaurant.
Okay, I remember at least seeing that. I was half paying attention to like the package, but yeah, which I assume was an Italian restaurant.
I guess, and he made it a point in a promo to say, look, my last name's, half my family's Dudley, but my other half is some Italian name. I forget what, like Delmonico or something. So he's like, I'm half Italian, and if you come at me, and he turns into fucking Little Guido all of a sudden. So yes, an Italian restaurant. LAX came and like threw plates and shit and wrecked the kitchen, and that's just too far.
Yes, it is.
You see, you can't do that.
So Little Italy street fight,
and now they're going to bring them to the streets of Little Italy.
And then there were bikini-clad women in cages with Italian flags on.
Okay, so I've only been to Little Italy once, and this was probably, I don't know, 20 years ago or so.
Okay.
I don't remember there being cages with scantily clad women in them.
I wouldn't think so, but I've not been there myself, so... Actually, maybe I have. I think I guess there's probably multiple Little Italys, isn't there?
Oh, so maybe it's not the New York Little Italy. Maybe it's somewhere else.
Dudleyville.
Different one.
Little Italy.
Is there a Little Italy in Dudleyville? These are the questions we need to ask.
Someone do the research. But now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure I have been to Little Italy in New York, but it was like probably a decade and a half ago myself.
Yeah.
Similarly, do not recall seeing bikini-clad broads in cages.
Yeah, it was, so I guess to set the scene here. So the pay-per-view starts. We get that intro package, and then the Dudleys, they get a jobber entrance, a.k.a. no entrance. They're just in the ring.
Yeah.
Calling out LAX. LAX comes out. Well, Conan rolls out, which allows for the first Pearl Harbor job of the night.
Kicking it off right, baby.
Oh, man. Japs. So the fight gets underway, and they're fighting within... I mean, there's, what would you call it? The tables and chairs set up, but not like a wrestling table and chairs, like with the fucking,
like
the pizza, the plaid.
Restaurant. Italian restaurant table and chairs.
Here we go. So I guess they're portraying what it's supposed to be. But yeah, there's around the ring, there's these like cages, but they're almost like small octagons, like small UFC rings, like Lion's Den rings almost.
Yes. With big open spaces. So it's like hardly a kick because you could walk in and out very easily.
Yeah, it's a very shitty cage. You're right. With women in them. So TNA, I don't know if you're familiar with the early years of TNA, but women in cages was a very common thing. Like they would just have them at the entranceway and people would walk. And I guess maybe it's an homage to that. I don't know.
What a thing.
What a thing. Women don't have rights, and we're not even at that segment yet. Also, that's what's in a way.
Let's just say at one point they just start giving Bubba a lap dance.
I mean, if they're there.
Just two of them, like mid-match, just both start kind of humping up on Bubba, and he's just like, like celebrating. It's like, what is going on here?
Win in Little Italy. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
To be fair, though, I think the crowd was chanting, use the stripper. So I think he's just obliging to his fans.
How could you not then? Yeah.
Which I don't know if they're strippers or dancers. I wonder if they were offended by being called strippers. Maybe they were strippers. I don't know. But that aside, this match actually ended up turning up a notch. And
yeah, it was fun.
Like I said, it was probably the most entertaining match. Like I said, for me, it's between this and the main event. But I mean, there's a lot of plunder and the Latino nation, a lot going on here, but I don't know. Overall thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it was entertaining. Again, it was a shit show. It was a mess, but I liked watching it. And in my head, or probably even out loud at one point, I just am thinking, what is going on here? But I like it. But then, eventually the pizza cutter and the cheese grater come into play too. So I'm like, okay, now I feel like we're in Little Italy, baby.
Naturally. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't have a full-on pizza out there hitting each other with them, but
for real. But even think, the thought of in my head a pizza cutter in 2007 TNA is interesting. Like to your, well, you've been watching. Had the pizza cutter ever come into play in TNA?
Not a pizza cutter. Homicide's used a fork before, but not a pizza cutter, which I'm trying to think what would be worse. I feel like a pizza cutter might be a more smooth time.
Yeah. Like if you get stabbed would you rather get stabbed directly in the head with a fork or sliced back and forth with a pizza cutter?
Probably pizza cutter.
I think so too. I think so too.
We'll do an experiment sometime, I guess.
Well, now you should insert the Domino's commercial.
that's been in the background of my thoughts throughout this entire thing. Nick Gage needs to be here and let us know. He probably know if anybody knows.
2 other things real quick. I love the LAX intro video. Just was like Mexican propaganda.
It's just the truth, bud. They're letting us know.
My apologies, but it was just like military, like dictatorship, like again, just wild stuff. And then also in the middle of the match, these 4 just like, for lack of a better term, Mexican thugs just hit the ring in the middle of it's like these guys are just flying in from out of nowhere. And then Mike Tenay eventually is like, members of the Latino Nation. I'm like, oh, okay, that's who they are.
Like what? So does any Latino?
I don't think any of them had names.
My note here was bunch of Mexicans stormed the ring.
Yep.
This is all, but Latino Nation is what they're dubbed, which I don't know. I mean, anybody that's Mexican in the impact zone? Do they just have carte blanche to hop the barricade?
Yeah.
And help LAX? That seems a little sketchy to me.
Bring the uniform, you bring sets of the uniform. It's like, hey, pop these jean shorts on, this white beater, and this bandana. You're good to go.
Yeah. I mean, half this crowd probably had most of that get up anyways, so it wouldn't have been hard.
That's true.
But yeah, a lot of the pizza cutter, the cheese grater were probably the most gruesome parts of the match. Although there was, right at the beginning, Hernandez leaps over the top rope. Devon clocks him with a chair on the way down, which looked brutal, beautiful, all of that stuff.
A lot of chair shots to the head in this one. Not all of them good, but
yeah, we're about, I don't know, 5 months away from Benoit. So
yeah, I guess
using that time while we still have it.
Yes. Good call.
Yikers.
Yeah.
But eventually, of course, tables get brought into the mix. Hernandez eventually puts Bubba through the table with a spine buster. You got Homicide coming off right after with an elbow drop. Only for a 2 count, but eventually Hernandez is able to hit the border toss onto Devon Dudley for the win. So her LAX comes out on top, but only because of the Latino Nation. So
yes,
bit of a sketchy victory, but I had fun watching it.
They all are on this one, and I did too.
Are you a part of any nations there, Brett?
That's a good question. I guess Bengals Nation. No, that was lame, but it's on my shirt. And I do work for the Bengals freelance, so technically I am. But I would have liked to have thought about 20-something years ago I was part of the Nation of Domination. But not like that one kid during Monday Night Raw back in the day with the glass. Yeah, just incredible stuff. I wish that was me. No. I don't know. Are you part of any nations?
Zulu Nation, wasn't that something?
Yeah,
that Wu-Tang Clan.
Sounds like something.
Wait, that's not something bad, is it? Zulu Nation.
What about AWOL Nation?
AWOL, that's a band.
Yeah, that's someone
did a thing.
Don't they do
Zulu
that?
Nation.
Yeah, or whatever the hell they say. I don't know. I think that's the dumb song, though.
What do they do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I'm familiar. I'm for whatever reason I do know what you're talking about. Sail.
Yeah. I don't know what they say, but I just say yeah.
Song gives me AIDS.
It's not Junior.
But nobody is.
I actually fired that song on randomly like a few months ago for the first time in a long time and gave me some joy.
Junior has a bag, as the kids say. I think, right? What does that mean? I don't know.
I think it's just money.
Oh.
I don't think they have that.
No, they probably have a little Ziploc bag.
Mark Andrews might, but
Flash. I mean, Flash he has a cool jacket.
Yeah.
A helmet. But
is he in Junior?
No, but he's a tag team with Mark Andrews. I would assume that he would bring him into the band.
He's probably a fan, one would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move over, Lil Jon. We are bringing AWOL Nation as the yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even think I think it's like a different word, but
it's sail.
Is it really? See,
there might be a yeah in there, but
there is.
I'm not
now.
confident enough.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. No, it's, you know what? It's yeah. It's LA Knight. He's the lead vocalist.
Who is?
LA Knight. You know, the guy who wrestles says yeah. Speaking of LA has a lot of stars. Austin Starr is in this next match against Senshi. Well, Austin Starr, how dare the Austin Starr, as he's announced as.
My notes from the pre-match or backstage promo with Bob Backlund just show, which again, I'm coming in cold here. Had Bob Backlund been like a part of the show, like playing this of like just kind of showing up and hooting and hollering?
There's no context. It's just as random as you. So, well, I shouldn't say that. So, the X Division, at this point, they're like in an era of like they're trying to give everybody different characters. Hence, why Austin Aries is now Austin Starr, and we're about to get to Black Machismo era of Jay Lethal and all that shit. So, they did this. They called it the PCS, which was the Paparazzi Championship Series. Paparazzi is Alex Shelley, Kevin Nash, etc.
We see them later on.
Various like pogo competitions, hopscotch, poker, like just random backstage segments. But they're like trying to highlight the characters of the X Division because before they were just a bunch of wrestlers.
Which you gotta give them credit for that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense on paper.
Yes.
But during the finals, which was at the last pay-per-view, it was Alex Shelley versus Austin Starr. It was a 10-minute time limit match, and there were 3 judges, one of which was Bob Backlund. And so that's how Bob Backlund comes into the picture. And then Austin Starr disrespected Backlund after that match, and then he choked him out. Bob did to Austin, so that's the whole thing. So they got the history there. But I didn't need Bob Backlund here. Long story short.
Yeah, here's my note, though, because at one point, Austin Starr, he ripped on his appearance or something. I don't remember what he said, but Austin Starr looks like a fucking fool. Just in general. The dumb earring and whatever other bullshit he was wearing, but I have... Austin Starr has no right ripping on the appearance of Bob Backlund. Is that young man? And then I guess Backlund at one point said, "Is that young man trying to exacerbate me with his discourse?" And then I wrote, "What the fuck is going on here?" We're like 20 minutes into the show. And in my head, I said, "What is going on here?" like 20 times. And then I have an Austin Starr versus Senshi, battle of the 2 biggest pricks ever.
The 2 biggest assholes in wrestling. Put them in one ring.
Pricks. Yeah. Imagine them laying out the match beforehand. Just neither of them wanting to fucking give an inch.
So, have these guys ever faced off in Ring of Honor? Are you familiar?
I'm not familiar enough. I would assume. I feel like they were both there long enough that their paths had to have crossed.
Right. Yeah, I haven't. At least in my timeline that I'm watching, I haven't gotten to Austin Aries yet, but I would assume they have faced each other before. And I'm watching this match here in TNA, and my first thought is, man, I feel like this would be so much better in Ring of Honor.
I thought the exact same thing.
Like, why? I don't know. Why is it just like the Impact Zone? Is it the 6 sides, the goofy characters? I don't know. Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because I kind of like the 6 sides.
Right.
Maybe the Impact Zone to a degree, but not really. I mean, does the fact that Ring of Honor is just darker and the fans are closer maybe just I guess the fans in general in the building, which that is the Impact Zone. You're right. So I'd say that's definitely a big part. I think the fans made Ring of Honor better, but maybe just like the freedom in the ring, I would assume they had more in Ring of Honor than TNA, Russo's grubby paws aren't all over it. So there's that too.
Yeah, because this just came off as kind of a generic, because
Senshi's
the face here, Austin's the heel, and Austin beats on Senshi for a bit. Senshi makes his comeback, and then we got a shitty bullshit finish. So it was just like a template. You throw these 2 guys in there, and neither guy is particularly red hot from a character standpoint at this point. So
I don't think this match helped either guy in any way.
No, I mean, Senshi, I don't know how long Senshi's even there. It can't be that much longer. Austin Starr, too. I think he goes back to Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Pretty soon after this, too. So I don't know. Maybe both guys were just kind of tapped out.
Nailing it in. Yeah. And again, the finish kind of reflected that neither man gave a fuck because it was just a really dumb finish. I can't even remember exactly. You got it, I'm sure. But I remember it was dumb as shit.
I mean, I saw it. I don't know if I understand what happened. So
yeah, did you make the note at least? I did not make the note.
Yeah, so they're like trading roll-ups towards the end. And at some point, I believe it's Senshi's on top, but he's like bridged in a way to where his shoulders are also kind of down.
Yeah, that's right.
The ref makes the pin, the bell rings, no one's music plays.
Yep.
The ref kind of confers with the timekeeper for a second, and then they say the winner is Senshi.
With both hands, he's holding both guys' hands and then raises Senshi's hand. Yeah, it was dumb.
But it's like, so I saw that, I was like, oh, they're gonna give it. It's gonna be like a draw, and it's gonna be a way to like further the story. I guess that they think is happening, but no, I think it was just like a clunky finish that maybe didn't happen as it was supposed to.
Yeah.
But
and then Austin Starr throws a fucking fit, just proving even more what a little bitch he is.
Wouldn't you? He's throwing all these chairs around. He got screwed out of this, which I guess maybe that is how the finish was supposed to go, because he's like, this is bullshit. He's throwing a tantrum in the ring. He doesn't say that, but he's like, oh, there's a bunch of malarkey.
Restart the match.
He demands the match to be restarted. And then old Bob Backlund comes out.
Here he is again.
You know, fucking Austin Aries slaps him, and then Bob puts him in the chicken wing again.
Woo! Yeah.
So after all of this, we put over Bob Backlund. So
yeah.
At least there's that, I guess.
I'd rather him go over than Austin Starr, so I'm fine with it.
What are your thoughts on Bob Backlund in general?
What a goober.
I can't fathom how he was like the biggest wrestler in the world for so long.
It is very weird.
Like, there are guys that are like before my time, like Bruno, even like Hogan to an extent. But like, while I didn't live through it, I get it. Like, I get how Bruno, like, I look at the guy, I'm like, okay, I get how he's like the top dude. I look at Bob Backlund, and I'm just like, I hear him talk, I watch him wrestle.
You
Nothing
look at
about him. He stinks.
He looks weird as shit.
God, he like just does squats or step ups. Like, he doesn't work out anything else. He has big, thick, juicy thighs, but that's about it.
Have you seen any of his work from that era?
You know what? I can't say that I have. The earliest is probably like 94 that I've seen.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I've maybe seen like a match he had in Japan, maybe, but I can't even confirm that. I can't imagine it was the most exciting wrestling to watch either in early 1980s.
Yeah. I mean, wrestling back then was just, hey, you run at me, I'll run at you, and somebody will end up on top at some point.
And the crowd is just eating it up the whole time.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah,
oh, man, simpler times.
Love it, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Bob Backlund, he's no Tyson Tomko, but speaking of which.
You are.
So I got a lot of questions about Tyson Tomko. The beard charm. I don't know if you noticed this, because he has the goat, and it's twirled, it's whatever. But then at the bottom of it, there's a little dangly, like sparkly something. Yeah. Thoughts?
Fucking dumb.
It's pretty cool. It's like kind of cool, right?
No,
like is the sound it makes. I think.
All right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there you go.
What if it made this sound? Yeah. Then it would be something.
Yeah. I'm just gonna make that song the bed of this entire episode, I think. But we got Tomko and Christian Cage backstage. Of course, they're Christian brought in Tomko as his insurance policy, and Christian has also recently brought back into the company Scott Steiner. So he's got kind of two bodyguards, but Steiner and Tomko, well, they just can't get along.
They cannot see eye to eye.
Dude, how do these guys live with each other? You know what I'm saying?
No, and just the stress it must cause on Christian.
Oh, I mean, he's got so many things to think about already.
He really does. He's got his hands in a lot of pots with a lot of people here.
Right. And these pots, they're just clanging and banging together because, you know, Tom goes yelling at Christian. He's mad at Scott Steiner. He's like, why'd you bring him in here? And then Scott Steiner barges in with sunglasses on. And then he's like, clean my glasses, bitch. You know, this is just a comedy of errors.
He's supposed to be his like servant or something.
But, you know, each guy thinks the other one's their servant. And it's a big power struggle.
Oh, man.
Oh,
poor Christian, man. He's just trying to win a championship match.
He's just in there in his sparkly jumpsuit, just trying to live
all
his
the
life.
resources, you know, at his disposal, excuse me, to get that done.
Both these guys are disposable. You're right. You're right.
Yes.
You're not wrong there. Oh, but speaking of disposable.
Oh my gosh.
You could have called this next deal. You could have just thrown it right down the drain. I mean, holy. You talk about aging poorly.
Yeah. My first note in all caps. Let me tell you something, you little slut. Why don't you go back to the strip club you got fired from?
Dude, okay, so this is particularly jarring because of like the Ashley Massaro stuff that's been coming out, and this is like the same timeline.
Yeah.
So not good. Not
Billy
good.
Gunn or what's his name? Kip. What is it? Kip James.
Kip James.
Just being fucking heinous.
And like, are we supposed to be on his side here? Is that the deal?
Think so, but I have no idea. You've been watching the product at this point. Like, what had Kip James been doing, you know, in the months leading up here?
Well, you ask a very loaded question.
No.
So VKM, are you familiar with VKM?
No, I'm not. Like, what's that acronym again?
The Voodoo Kin Mafia.
That's right. No, that was a new one on me.
Yeah. So is Road Dogg Billy Gunn, the New Age Outlaws. There's a new
just those
VKM.
Two. Okay, cool.
It's obviously a play on Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yeah.
They are because this is the timeline where DX is doing their thing.
Yes.
So of course Billy and Road Dogg, they take umbrage to this. So they were coming out on TV and just straight up being like, Raw sucks. These segments that you guys are doing sucks. We carried DX. Fuck you, Vince McMahon. They challenged Vince McMahon to a fight on pay-per-view, which like, right?
Yeah.
But obviously that never happened. So they kind of dropped that at some point and picked up this new storyline where at the last pay-per-view, because, you know, BG James, Kip James, they basically declared victory, whatever, over WWE. And then Christy Hemme comes out and is like, you guys are talking about DX. Why don't you ever bring up China? Is it because she's a woman? And then we off ramp into this men versus women fucking bullshit, whatever you call this. And that's when you get the you little slut deal, go back to your strip club, etc., etc.
And a lot more other bad shit.
Yeah, dude. The impacts leading up to this show, there's more just like women never belonged in wrestling and you should know your place kind of shit. So Christy wants to prove them wrong by having a match on pay-per-view, and we can't just have a wrestling match. It's got to be a tuxedo match.
Naturally.
An open challenge, I guess, because she doesn't know her opponent going into this, and it ends up being.
Well, and why does Jim Cornette have the decision here? What's his affiliation?
He's the authority. Okay, he's the sheriff, and he's the.
Is he like the authority of TNA currently?
Yeah. It's the director of
authority. Yeah.
GM of basically the general manager.
Yeah. So he's not affiliated with either side here necessarily.
No, he's a neutral party.
Okay. It makes the choice even more interesting.
Yeah, I guess there were no other wrestlers. I guess the women, because Tracy Brooks is tied up fucking Eric Young. Gail Kim and Jackie are fighting each other, and I think that's all the women that are in the company at this point. So
okay then.
Gotta go into your repertoire. And
With?
with another one of the judges from the PCS, the big fat oily guy.
Chase D, baby.
Good old Chase D. Oh man, got some D flopping around here. I would assume
he's out there having a fucking ball, though, isn't he? He's just happy to be there in his tuxedo.
He still tells his family about this, I'm sure. Whenever he's at a barbecue today, if he's still alive, he's like, man, one time in 2007, I was wrestling this gal. She ripped my britches off, and I had my ding-a-ling in her mouth, and
then I came.
I mean, I can't blame him, I guess.
Yeah, Christy looked pretty good. Let's just be honest.
Look, I would take her for a nice seafood dinner. You know, not too shab. But of course, the rules of a tuxedo match: you come out in a tuxedo, and the first whoever loses their tuxedo loses.
Have you seen the like late 80s, early 90s WCW like that? The Heyman Cornette, like that's actually good.
Wasn't there like a WrestleMania one or like early on? Maybe the one you just brought up is what I'm thinking of. WrestleMania.
That one is in WCW again, sometime late 80s, early 90s, but it's like entertaining and good. I mean, with those two knuckleheads, like it was actually
good. Man, I need to. Yeah, I guess that is what I'm thinking of. That's sensational. So it must have been Jim Cornette's idea, with that logic in mind.
Probably.
Man, where do we even begin? The crowd, first of all, we should just say the crowd fucking hates this. They want, I don't know what they're chanting, but I know somebody in the front row holds up a sign that says, "We are wrestling." And so during this match is just hilarious. And I mean, the pants start flying off. There's one point where Christy Hemme goes for a monkey flip out of the corner. It gets countered, and her pants just fly off. So I don't know if they're too big, no belts, what the situation is, but I don't think she planned accordingly.
And then Don West and Mike Tenay get real horny when there's like a nice camera shot on her ass, and then Don says, "Scotty, keep the camera there on Christy." And then you hear Tenay like faded in the background. He's like, "Oh, what a shot!" It was so fucking funny.
They are into it though. The commentary, they got their head down. They are looking at the action. They are giving the play-by-play.
They're into everything all the time. And, say what you will about those guys. I kind of like them. They're not good.
Yeah. No, I love them.
Yeah, Don West is fucking great. R.I.P. by the way. That guy rules.
No, they're one of my favorites for sure. But they had to put their working boots on for this because there is just, I mean, how would you describe this match?
Horrifying.
Why is that?
Because of big fat oily guy. Really, just the scene of him trouncing out in his undies was really that's a hard one to get past. But Christy looked good. It was brief. No pun intended.
No briefs. No briefs in this match.
Damn it. Yeah. This sucked, but whatever. And then good old Kip James makes his way out the ringside to congratulate Christy. Here we go.
Thank God. Well, first of all, we got to know that Christy Hemme wins the contest.
Yeah.
Well, man.
Yes.
Sorry. Well, this is after, I don't even know if we brought this up, but at one point, Christy goes for a sunset flip, which I don't know why you're doing that. And then fat oily guy, BFOG, just goes to his knees and just teabags the shit out of her. Like, no, there is so little like film in between his dick and balls and her mouth. It was just atrocious. But Christy makes the comeback after he does. And
Christ.
Then your boy Kip James comes out, dancing to the ring. He's all giddy.
He's having a good time.
And then he says, "Look, I'm here to give the people what they came to see." And what do they come to see?
I guess Christy's titties.
Rips her shirt off.
Of course he rips her shirt off. Like, Jesus.
And she runs away. He's dancing in the ring, which leads me to
Mike
believe
TNA with the capper. I think Kip James is right. I think this is what everyone came to see.
Which is like, are we supposed to support this? Like, what is happening?
Again, I guess we are on Billy Gunn's side because he gave us what everyone wanted to see.
You know what? You might be right. You might be right. I mean, we're like, there's not a women's division yet. I think it's later this year. It's like too close to make sense. It's not like it wouldn't be years before a women's division. No, it's like 6 or 7 months after this. They like introduce a title and have like a bunch of people debut. It's like, maybe this is like kind of what pushed it. I mean, I would assume there was a lot of backlash from this, but
what? Yeah, I would think.
But who knows? 2007 was the Wild West.
Yes, it was.
Well, I wish I could tell everybody that we're going to get some real wrestling next.
Not yet.
But we got Alex Shelley backstage. He's hosting a viewing party.
Yes.
A viewing party of what? Well, look, and we'll just talk about this whole saga here, I guess, 'cause it kind of runs throughout the show.
Back, yeah.
So Robert Roode is a gentleman, and he has not had a lot of success as a singles, and he's blaming it on his CEO, Tracy Brooks. What does CEO stand for? Do you remember?
Fuck, no, I don't.
Chief Executive Offender. All right. So Robert Roode, Roode Incorporated, Roode Industry, whatever the fuck. He's like, look, the people don't like me. What are we gonna do about this, Tracy? Tracy's like, look, the people like Eric Young. If you align yourself with Eric Young, maybe they'll like you. But Eric doesn't want to be a part of this because he's like the happy-go-lucky guy. The whole crowd loves him. He's just a comedy, goofy dude. And so in an effort to lure him into this faction, I guess, to sign a contract into it, Robert Roode is like, hey, go have sex with him. That'll do it. That'll do the trick. Because as per Billy Gunn, that's all you're good for.
Yes.
So at least they're consistent with this mindset. So Alex Shelley is here to hold the camera, hiding in a closet. Real Cuck Energy from this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the whole thing. Tracy invites Eric to a hotel. And I don't know.
I guess he's a virgin, too.
Well, apparently Tracy is too, according to her, which...
This is definitely a side of Eric Young I've never seen before.
What, his ass? Well, I don't think we saw his ass, actually.
No,
it might be a different show.
The cuck.
You know, he does... I'm not surprised of his cuckness, though. You know, it kind of makes sense.
I guess not. But I guess it's more just that he's a pathetic cuck. Like, he really is just a fucking loser in these sketches.
Look, he's trying. He brought her flowers and chocolate. Now, they might have been fake flowers, and it might have been get her done chocolate, which, what is this?
Really sending a message with that one, EY.
Half eaten. And they're fucking this. And I'm just looking at these notes, and it's like, this shit actually happened.
Well, not to mention, like, when they're showing Shelley hosting the viewing party, it's what? Kevin Nash, Jay Lethal, and Sanjay
these are all the
Dutt.
PCS guys.
Yeah,
so
and it's
Sanjay
like
Dutt, Nash, Jay Lethal.
Kevin Nash just hanging out with these clowns just made me laugh.
Having a ball.
Just cashing checks.
This is all his doing. I'm blaming it on him.
I did enjoy, Alex Shelley, like, you know, I really like Alex Shelley as a wrestler, but have never really seen a ton of, like, especially goofy character from him. Like, I've never seen this side of Alex Shelley. Hell, I enjoyed it. Just him clowning, like, talking with Tracy in the closet. I don't remember the things he was saying, but it was pretty damn funny.
He's fantastic. Him and Nash are, like, an awesome duo together. Like, just hilarious. So yeah, we're still in the hotel. Alex is in the closet filming all of this. Tracy wants Eric to sign the contract before they, what did she say? Seal it before we seal the deal. Seal the deal before we seal the deal. I don't know, something stupid. But Eric's like, I don't know. I had some friends tell me that I shouldn't sign this contract. And Tracy rips his shirt off. Second segment in a row. Rips shirt off. And Eric's like, actually, you know what? You make a good point. Let's sign this bad boy. So he signs it. And then Tracy's like, okay, before we make coitus, before we just raw dog it right here, right now in this Holiday Inn, close your eyes. I got a secret for you. I got a surprise for you. And big dumb idiot Eric Young.
Oh my gosh, what could it
be? She says, I'll be right back. And she does not come right back. She swiftly leaves. And
isn't Rude waiting for her in the hallway?
Yeah, he's on the phone. He's making some very important business deals, I'm sure.
What do you think then? I don't think did they show anything happening between Shelly in the closet and Young? And like, did they cut back to the hotel room after this or no?
That's where I didn't even think of. Wait, no. Shelly left the closet when he closed his eyes, I think.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking, right. What do you think happened in there?
That was so funny. They're both still in there.
Do you think they start banging?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
so Alex Shelley took Eric Young's virginity, is what we're saying here.
That's the headline. Fightful, Wrestling Observer. I know they're going to take this headline and just spread it across the internet. So
cool.
Glad we figured it out.
Just insane shit on this show.
Bob Backlund's also here because we needed that as well. I'm here to put the end to this pornography. A little late, Bob. A little late. I mean, this has been happening at this point throughout the entire show.
It's just incredible. Like, this show is bonkers.
Yeah. It's certainly something. And then
we get AJ Pierzynski. Which are you a baseball fan at all?
So actually around this point, I think I might have been like fading out of it, but like mid 2000s, early 2000s, I was really into it. I knew who AJ Pierzynski was.
Yeah. Well, the insane thing is this is the two most recent World Series MVPs. Or no, really? It was David Eckstein was a World Series MVP, and then Pierzynski won the World Series with the White Sox. My apologies. But guys in the primes of their careers winning championships and hanging around with these clowns. I'm like, I am a big baseball guy, and I do remember this, even though I wasn't following wrestling at all at this time, but I remember hearing about this, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool. What's TNA?
Well, I guess that's the idea is to kind of get some mainstream buzz.
I kind of so I watched live. I'm 36. I think I'm a little older than you, but I was watching mid 97 when I started, and then up till 01, around the WCW merger or purchase, whatever. And then I was out till 2009. So, we had no idea what the fuck was going on in wrestling. I think I knew TNA existed, but never seen a second of it. But I do remember this happening, but I did not remember it until video package came on right after, and I'm like, what? Here we go. AJ Pierzynski, Johnny Damon, David Eckstein, just getting in the mix here.
So if you turned this on back then, would this have pulled you into TNA?
I mean, for the moment, yes, but seeing what this shit was, I can't imagine it's something I would have stuck with.
Yeah. Well, we got a BaseBrawl match. It's fun.
Which, again, just looking at the card with no context, I'm like, what the fuck is that?
And you know what? This is not the first BaseBrawl match either. Base.
You can't get that.
It's my Asian Tourette's coming out. BaseBrawl.
Yeah.
That's the reset. I like it. it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Dale Torborg, otherwise known as the Demon, the Kiss Demon from WCW. Yeah. So he's like a legit wrestler, kind of, at least.
Who was also a baseball player and an active coach for the White Sox, which I had no fucking idea. I just thought he was the Kiss Demon.
The strength and conditioning coach for the White Sox.
He's got a World Series ring.
And he's taken on Lance Hoyt, otherwise known as Lance Archer. and
who I shared a drink with on the Jericho cruise. Not that we need to get too far into that.
Did you talk about this? Did he bring this up?
I honestly wish I would have seen this ahead of time and could have brought this up.
He seems like a good guy.
Great fucking guy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Always been a fan. You know, I always liked him just as a wrestler and a performer, and then just meeting him and hanging out with him for a few. It's like, hell yeah. And that's
still going at it.
Yeah, he's like 45 or something.
Yeah, I mean, this is...
Yeah.
How long ago was this? 17 years?
Like when I first saw him in New Japan in like 2017, I had no clue he'd had, you know, a long run in TNA starting in 05.
He was hot for a bit.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if he's hot right now, but well, maybe he is if he's being trusted to be a part of this, I guess.
With the World Series MVP.
Yeah.
Hoyt is twice the size as.
Well, at least Dale Torborg has some size on him, you know.
Yeah.
So AJ's just there in his corner, in Dale's corner, and David Eckstein's and Lance Hoyt's corner.
Johnny Damon was involved in the pre-match video package, so he was doing some shit. I think on Hoyt's side as well, right?
Yes, correct. He was not here.
Yes,
probably because he's too big a star. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. This match happened. It's just funny seeing. It's funny seeing celebrity baseball players be heels against a real wrestler. The whole dynamic's out of whack here.
Yeah, well, and Pierzynski was always kind of like a little heelish as a baseball player anyway, so it kind of fit for him. Like he was kind of just a bit of a prick, but I liked him for it. But yeah, this sucked. Let's just be real.
Well, we got to recap the how we got here. So at the last show, so David Eckstein has a book out. It's like a kid's book. Cool. And he's like plugging it on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
We have a segment dedicated to that, and AJ and Dale are out there. They take his book, they start ripping the pages out. Eckstein's like, what are you doing? And then Lance Hoyt makes the save, and now we're here. So David Eckstein, if you were wondering, why is this guy so intense? Why is he just dripping in intensity? That's why. So
they ripped his little kid's book.
You can't do that. You can't do that. So ultimately, though, like AJ, he hits a low blow on Lance Hoyt during the match at some point. You got Dale throwing suplexes on the ramp. At some point, though, Lance goes to the top rope, but AJ hits him with a chair. Dale Torborg makes the pin and gets the win. Baseball player beats Lance Hoyt. You would think, however, because we just gotta put hats on hats on hats.
Lance Hoyt gets the treatment Austin Starr wanted 45 minutes prior.
There we go.
They restart the match.
And because Eckstein snitches on the ref, says, hey, this fella used the chair, and the ref's like, I'll take your word for it. So they restart the match, and then Lance Hoyt hits what I called the F4 because it's like an F5, but kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And well, it's not shitty. It's just like he goes face first instead
not
of
quite
landing.
As good. Yeah.
Trying to make it a little different. It's like Google Sheets to Excel. It's like you're being different just to be different. But yeah, so Hoyt, I guess, wins.
Yep.
Sweet.
And then wasn't there some like post-match stuff too? I don't even remember. I didn't write much down here.
I think I went and took a big old grumper after this one, so maybe I missed it.
I think we can move on.
Move on to the Motor City Chain Nightstick and Key on a Pole match? You mean?
Yeah.
That one? They called it the Motor City Chain match on the show, but on Cage Match, it's listed as a Motor City Chain Nightstick and Key on a Pole match. What did we do?
I remember one of our previous shows we did. Wasn't there like an error on Cage Match, or like a stipulation was wrong or something? I don't remember what it was.
Supposed to be for the #1 contendership, but it wasn't, or something like that.
Yeah, it might have been one of like the Ring of Honor show we watched. At any rate, I trust Cage Match with this one. Motor City Chain Nightstick and Key on a Pole match. Here we go. Or for the layman's, an MCNAKOAP.
I hope we see one of these at WrestleMania this year. This really had me hungry. Maybe AJ.
I mean, it is
and
WrestleMania
LA Knight.
XL. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my
we
one
got-
note here is
Please.
Rhino versus AJ is by far the most competent thing on this show. To this,
You know, I would agree. So the past couple shows, they've had various matches, and they're pretty consistently the match of the night, or at least close to it.
yeah.
I don't know. It felt like the stipulation just got in the way of this
Stipulation
one.
sucked, but the action was pretty good.
Remind me again. What's a stipulation?
That's a
I
tough
forget.
question.
I forget.
The type of match.
So there's two poles, right? These are different than the stripper poles from earlier. I know it's very
Yes.
confusing, everybody. Two poles. One pole has a key. One pole has a nightstick. Hence, Motor City Chain Nightstick and Key on a pole match. It's actually Motor City Chain Nightstick and Key on two poles match. But I digress. So the premise here is, so it's like a strap type match where they're both attached to, I guess, a long set of handcuffs, it seemed like.
I think it's a Motor City chain.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I wish I would have noted that down somewhere. I wish it was in the title of the match. And on one pole, there's a key that unlocks the lock. And the other pole is, and I quote, Rhino's favorite weapon. What's his favorite weapon again?
Is it the key or the nightstick?
It's the nightstick, as per the nightstick in the Motor City Chain Nightstick and Key on two poles match. So,
Also, to be fair, I think I made my note before they really even started going for this shit. Like, I feel like the action was pretty good, like early on,
Yeah.
and I think that's when I made my note, and then it just got all fucking weird.
yeah, I mean, look, these guys have good chemistry, like in just normal matches.
Yes,
But
and you
this
see
one-
some of that here.
It's just like, I mean, just like to tie up what the rules are. So AJ can go and grab the key to unlock him, because I guess his incentive for that is that it allows him to fly all over the ring, which is his forte, or to run away, I guess. And Rhino, his incentive to grab the nightstick is because it was his favorite weapon. This is a quote, well, paraphrase from Mike TNA. It was his favorite weapon growing up in the streets of Detroit because that's what people used on the streets to serve justice.
Tell them.
Was he a cop, Rhino? I
Not
did
to
a
my
wiki
knowledge.
search and I saw no police officer history. So are we just rogue? Do people on the streets have nightsticks? Is that the deal?
I think Tanae's just making shit up.
He would never. The professor would never lie to me. Well, and then so Rhino can obviously, he can go up there, grab the nightstick. So it's a tug of war battle throughout, of course, as per any strap, chain match, whatever the hell. AJ's trying to run away because I guess he forgets he's chained to Rhino. And it's whatever. They're tying each other up in the ropes and around the corner. I mean, it's every fucking strap type match. But eventually AJ does grab the key. He unlocks himself and then hits a splash right after.
And I feel okay. This is when it's like when AJ got free. It's like, okay, now we're actually doing some real moves here.
Yes.
This is the part. I misspoke earlier. I forgot the strap shit. But yeah,
No, I mean the
nightstick, post key.
Right.
How about that? The nice meaty middle here was competent, and then
Love me a meaty
it was
middle.
not. Yes, you do.
So AJ hits the Pele onto Rhino. Well, at first, so he's like dangling the key in front of Rhino, which like just throw it out. You got him chained up. He wraps the chain around the ropes to basically tie up Rhino in the corner, but then eventually Rhino gores him, and the Earl Hebner, this fucking sketchy minx, kicks the key over to Rhino so he can unlock himself. We get "You Screwed Brett" chants, which sure. And it's at this point where like the match becomes like, okay, this is good. We got big spine buster to AJ.
Yeah,
Pulls out a table, sets it in the corner, goes for the gore, misses, goes through the table, and then AJ pins him, and then it's over. So the last like 60 seconds was good, I think.
Yeah, it was weird.
But,
it had its moments. Yeah, the opener was still better than this, I think, overall. But I think the peaks of this, it was like, okay, you know, for a few minutes, like, okay, this is some good shit. But the whole package was not that great.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed their packages, but
well, of course.
Got AJ growing in some heel chest hair, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, you gotta be.
And then Rhino's big and meaty. So what else could you ask for? I guess at the end of the day.
This next match was pretty decent too.
You're talking about the X Division Pioneer versus the X Division Champion?
This is so we forgot to mention earlier the Senshi Star match was the first. There was no stipulation there, but it sucked. So this is the next match. The only other match without a stipulation is this one.
Right.
And it's for a championship, so.
The X Division title on the line. Chris Sabin defending against Jerry Lynn. Sabin, another guy who's recently turned heel. Just being a kind of I kind of like heel Sabin here. I feel like that was never like his thing, but I feel like he came off as a dick pretty well in this.
I agree. I was impressed with both he and Shelley in their roles here, which those guys are fucking great.
We should team them together. That's what they should do, I think.
Get a Motor City chain.
Is that why that's what their team name was what it was? They're just proficient in the Motor City chain key on a pole and 2 poles match.
With guns.
With guns. Yeah, that should have been Rhino's weapon.
Yeah, that's a
grab a gun,
better than a nightstick.
I would say so. So.
But not better than a Motor City chain. Nothing is.
Well, that goes without saying, I think.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I forgive you.
Cool.
I will say though, is this maybe it's not, it was just a thought I had. Do you think this is like too much character work for an X Division match? Like in my mind, this division is for like the pure work rate kind of stuff, but it almost felt too similar to a lot of other matches on this card, but I don't know. What did you think about it?
I slightly agree, but again, like this at least felt like the most normal match on the card.
Yeah.
I think there was some bullshit at the end, if I recall correct. I mean, I just assume there was, but I don't remember what it is offhand. I don't have a note. But like, you know, the story, as you said, like the X Division, the old guy versus the young guy. But like, you know, Sabin's beating his ass most of the way. Lynn makes a comeback. It's like, okay, this feels good. This feels right. But how did it fall apart? I don't remember.
Well, it did kind of fall apart, but it made sense from a psychology point of view because Sabin's beaten on the back of Jerry Lynn throughout the entire match. So, you know, once Jerry makes his comeback, he goes for the cradle pile driver, but he can't execute it because his back's been worked on. And Sabin counters with a back body drop and drops to his knees for a pin and then holds the ropes for the win.
The classic. Yeah. So not too much bullshit there, though.
No. It was just like
more standard heel shit.
Standard bullshit. Yeah, that's exactly. It wasn't, you know, hats on hats. It was just one hat. And sometimes a hat is fun.
This is my second favorite match of the night. And yeah, I'll give it to the main event. We'll get there. But yeah. I'd go main event 1, this 2, opener 3.
Yeah, it was solid.
Actually, Sting and Abyss was pretty decent too.
Yeah.
I'm overlooking that.
It's hard to give a grade to that match. It's like a completely different scale.
But it was good.
Know, I did yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that
take it all back.
Something. Take it all back.
But this was solid. I had nothing against this match. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, this is right before Jerry's like big Ring of Honor run too, so he's still like in top form.
Yeah, he can still go here.
43. It's funny. Sabin's like the build up. He's like dressed up as an old man with a walker, wearing a diaper. He's fucking 43, which is just like we're
days,
approaching that. Yeah. No, that's like the entire main event scene right now.
Yeah.
But we move on from that to a little mixed tag action. We got the Tennessee Cowboy James Storm and Miss Tennessee Jackie Moore versus Gail Kim and Petey Williams. This match did nothing for me until the end. Until the ending little deal here I liked.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah, this stunk. This and the base brawl were the two lowest points, and this is probably the lowest point. Like the funny thing is, I'm kind. This was right after work. This was the first match I watched today, and I'm like laying down. I'm tired. I'm just kind of getting into it. I'm half paying attention, and I look up, and it's like, which guy is which? Their haircuts are the same, and weirdly enough, like seeing them both from behind, they looked like weirdly indistinguishable, even though Storm is definitely larger. But I'm like looking up, and I'm like, these guys look the same from behind. It was just pretty weird.
You're saying all white guys look alike?
Yes.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Honestly, the highlight of this match, because there's really not much to say, is the finish. Storm or Gail Kim gets thrown into Storm, who basically like socks her in the face, socks Gail Kim in the face. She loses, and Don West is like, "This is just wrong." It's like, after all the shit we've seen tonight, this is what's wrong with everything.
It's passionate about literally everything, and I love it. I love it. I mean, like, I just, the story here is fine. AMW, which was a team of James Storm and Chris Harris, they recently broke up. James Storm hit Chris Harris with a beer bottle in the face. So Harris had been on the shelf for a while. He didn't know if he would ever regain sight in his eye. And then P.D. Williams has been coming to his defense, to Chris Harris's defense. And then Gail Kim was the valet of AMW, so she doesn't support James Storm. And then Jackie Moore gets brought into this because she's from Tennessee. And I guess that's enough of a time. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot going on.
Wildcat Chris Harris is from Kentucky and went to my high school.
No shit.
He's older than me, but yeah. How about that?
Oh, so you didn't know him?
No, I didn't. His little brother was like 2 grades below me. And again, I remember at that time, like hearing about Wildcat Chris Harris. And again, I was out of wrestling completely. And I'm like, that's kind of tight that a wrestler went to my high school and grew up 5 minutes up the road. And, and looking back and watching some of the shit, like, guy was pretty good, actually. Some of those, I think he and Storm had like a great one-on-one, maybe a cage match. Obviously, just great tag team stuff. I've seen handfuls of various matches. Like, guys got some good shit on tape.
Yeah, I mean, as a team, they're a Mount Rushmore of TNA type team. Yeah. So, and yeah, I think I do remember, because Lockdown is coming up kind of soon, so I would assume that they would have a match there.
I think it's that one that I've seen, and it was pretty damn good.
Yeah. But yeah, Chris Harris returns afterwards, and because they try to do a little post-match beatdown on Gail Kim, but Chris Harris comes, makes the save, tosses Jacqueline all the way across the ring, and then runs off James Storm. So we got a little Wildcat with his eye patch, setting up a future match, and that's where the cookie crumbles, I guess, huh?
Just glad
the finish sucked, though.
Yeah, glad we're past that one.
The finish to this match gave me hemorrhoids, like you said. It was just like a weak, like, no, I fell into your elbow.
This is just wrong.
It was something. I mean, it's just ultimately just kind of fluffing us up a little bit for a prison yard match.
Let's go.
So what did you grasp in terms of the backstory of this match from like the packages and the whatnot?
I don't know. I wasn't paying the closest attention, but I know Jim Mitchell, for Father James Mitchell, burned Sting's face, and then he was wearing the Abyss mask. And then when he did the interview, it's like his speech was muffled. Well, really, we called him Jim Mitchell on fucking Brainbuster Boys, which is essentially defunct right now. We may come back at some point, but I doubt it. Anywho, so Bo, like, he had never seen, he was coming in cold as a wrestling fan, like just watching AEW. There was a wedding segment. I can't even remember who got married, but Father James Mitchell was like the minister of the wedding. Is this ringing a bell?
I think this was kind of recent, wasn't it? Like within the past couple of years.
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago, probably. It was probably like 2021.
Like Impact era.
Yeah, well, this is in AEW. So
It was AEW?
Father James Mitchell did a one-off appearance in AEW as like the minister of a wedding.
Oh.
And
This rings a bell.
neither Bo or I had ever heard of the guy. Obviously, Bo wouldn't have, but I hadn't seen old school TNA to know who he was. So he was just killing us during that segment, just being a real fucking grease ball. And we just loved him. So we termed him Sinister Jim Mitchell. And then like we came up with this music. Bo like composed a beat, which was the Jim Mitchell music on our podcast. And anytime he came up or anytime we brought up something greasy or related weird, like we'd play that music and just always reminded us of him. So for whatever reason, Sinister Jim, Father James Mitchell's got a little place in my heart. But
so wait, you came up with Sinister like just by seeing him?
No, I think we knew his name was the Sinister Minister.
I was like, I'm about to drop a bomb on you.
No. We knew that, but he went by Father James Mitchell, but we called him Sinister Jim Mitchell. It's like our term for him.
Right.
Anyway, a bunch of dumb bullshit, but the guy always makes me laugh. And yeah, the video package was like insane, and it felt like very Attitude Era WWE. I'm like, I'm digging this. I like what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too far off from like Undertaker, Kane, Paul Bearer kind of dynamic.
Yep.
Man. So Abyss, you're familiar with Abyss, monster, mask, kind of just a deranged. Yeah, he's awesome, especially in this era.
Yeah.
So Abyss has always been this like unhinged monster. James Mitchell came in, kind of corralled him a little bit. He's been his handler. But Sting comes in and is like, Abyss, I know there's a man under that mask. I know you can't just keep letting the sinister minister just tell you what to do. You're your own person. Come with me, Abyss.
What a good
Ditch this asshole. Ditch this weird eyebrow having dickhead. And a bit like James Mitchell won't allow it. He's keeping his grasp over Abyss. But then Sting has to go to desperate measures because at some point he learns that Abyss went to prison for a while. And so Sting goes to the court, the public records.
He pulls the documents.
Right. Well, before this, he like abducts James Mitchell and beats out of like what's his real name, and then he's like, it's Chris Park. So this gives Steve Borden just the standard white guy name. He goes now to the public
Borden
records
versus Chris Park in a prison yard match.
Sting finds out what Abyss did. He comes out into the middle of the impact zone. Because I guess the logic is that this is going to throw Abyss into such a tizzy that he'll leave James Mitchell. He'll start thinking for himself, take the mask off.
Start going by Chris Park.
Yep. Well, this was a drastic miscalculation on Sting's part because he unveils that Abyss shot his father in the back 3 times and put him in a coma. They never say, by the way, commentary, they're never like, oh, Abyss shot his father in the back. They always say, Abyss put 3 bullets into his father's back. They have to be that specific. I don't know. So that's where we're at. Abyss shot his dad. Sting is like, come on, guy. It's fine. Now we're in a prison yard match.
You know what Steve Borden and Chris Park's tag team name would be?
What's that?
Borden the Park. It's not good, but we're just bored in the park. Yeah, that was a mess. But it's just the 2 names bridged by the Borden the Park.
Borden the. I thought you meant like boarding up windows, like we're blocking this park out.
Bored in the park, and that's what it's like watching Steve Borden and Chris Park.
How dare you?
I could have delivered it better, but Sting in Abyss, mind you.
We'll add raucous laughter in post.
Cool.
I'll piss myself just for you.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. So we got oh, by the way, I should add to further the backstory, once Sting let the secret out, him and Abyss fought backstage. Like you said, James Mitchell threw a fireball in Sting's face, put him in an ambulance. They had to take him to the hospital to get this checked out. But wait a minute. Abyss wants more. Abyss isn't done with him. So he goes to the ambulance. He rips the door open. But Sting is no longer inside the ambulance.
Oh my.
It's just his trademark bat was in there. So it's just a very crucial part of the story there.
Thanks for laying it out, because I didn't do it. It's like, fireball, Jim, and then I got into my Jim Mitchell bullshit, and then talking because I didn't write anything down. I didn't make many notes.
Too much to write down.
And then I literally wrote, this video package is tight.
You're not wrong. That could have just been the whole episode. Hey, this show's pretty tight.
The 3 bullets did geek me out, though.
Yeah, I mean, so the rules of this match. You win by locking your opponent in the solitary confinement cage, which is hanging. Like another cage. Christian cage, this cage.
Stripper cage in Little Italy.
Stripper cage.
Motor City chains.
So is this just a shark cage?
I think so, yeah.
It's like,
I think
I don't know. It's
so aside from like the prison, the way you actually win the match, like the early goings of the match, like I wrote, this is very much an AEW Sting match. Like it just kind of all over the place. He does the splash from above through the table. Like how many times have we seen that recent AEW Sting? Like, before they actually got into the ring, it's like, this reminded me of, a lot of what we've seen of him over the last 2 to 3 years, which is a good thing.
No, it's
again, I mostly enjoyed this match. Again, like it was definitely fun and entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, it was, because they start in the prison yard, which is backstage at Universal Studios, I guess. There's just like a vague selection of barbed wire all over the place and a dumpster, which is what he jumps off of through a table.
Which also, they like the commentary made such a big deal of him getting thrown in that dumpster. But there's maybe 6 inches of clearance, so he just kind of like lightly tosses him in onto a bunch of boxes.
He put him on top of a dumpster.
Yes, on top of cardboard boxes, on top of a dump. Like there's not even trash.
It's very clean. It's like a brand new dumpster.
And then like fucking TNA says something. What did he say? He's like, and no life seen from Sting after that point because it was such a brutal thing. But it turns out he was playing possum.
Oh, I see. He's impenetrable as Sting. Or he's known for no selling. So maybe that's just what the thing was. But
then he did the splash through the table.
And then they eventually fight back to the ring where like there's like loose strands of barbed wire around each of the corners.
Yeah.
As well as little like police car lights on each of the corners, which I don't know what purpose that served other than being a weapon.
I guess because the police take you to prison.
Oh.
And Rhino clocks Sting with one of them, cracks it over his noggin.
Sting does?
I thought it was Rhino onto Sting, or am I wrong?
You mean Abyss?
Yep.
It was like, where did Rhino come? I must have missed that.
I'm mixing up my monsters here. Abyss, I believe, clocked Sting with the red light.
Yes, you're right.
Cracked it over his head.
Which was a hell of a visual. I mean, the thing shattered, and
it was.
So that was pretty tight.
Yeah, I agree.
Got some barbed wire. We got barbed wire bat coming into play. Hits Abyss in the arm a bunch of times with it, and his arm's bleeding.
Yeah, gotta love that.
Love it. And then Sting calls for the cage, which you just gotta wave your hand in the air, and then this shark cage repels from the ceiling. And I don't even know if I mentioned this, but you win by throwing your opponent into the cage and closing the door.
And locking it.
Locking it shut. Then at some point, Sting like molests James Mitchell when he takes his belt off, which
he's taking James Mitchell's belt off.
How is his britches gonna stay up now?
Yeah, that was pretty weird. But I guess the
Like,
man burned his face. He'll take his belt off.
would you rather be burned in the face or have your belt removed forcefully?
I think I'd still rather have my belt removed forcefully, especially if Sting was doing it.
Come on now.
Actually, I'd rather if it was Steve Borden, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He'll provide the sting, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
The stinger? The little stinger?
Give me Garrett Borden.
Was he the Wolfpack one or the other one?
He was the chunky Mr. USA.
How dare you? He's a bulky
The Wolfpack ones, like you could tell, because he played football for University of Kentucky. They said it. I went to Louisville, but like a lot of my friends are UK fans. So I remember when like that happened. I'm like, okay, I can get behind this Kentucky player. I'm like, if I was a UK fan, I'd be wearing the fucking face paint to games and shit. But like you could tell that motherfucker was an athlete when he did like the stinger splashes in the corner. But anywho, we're getting off track here.
Well, no. I just gotta ask the splashes. Can we? They were high, I guess. They were fast, but
they were. He did
splashes.
Jump too early.
Yeah, it was more like Sting's, like where these guys were like,
yeah. You know? But at least like the Wolfpack, like he got up. But yeah, they both jumped too early.
Yeah, it was more of a javelin, more of a spear than a splash. But you know,
I think javelin's a good way of putting it, since spear is already a different move.
I'll show you a javelin,
please.
But
finish was good.
Sting javelins his belt, or Mitchell's belt, into his bottom. There's a barbed wire board that comes into play, and that leads us to the finish, which I do agree. I thought it was pretty tight.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what his goal was here, but he starts climbing the cage, which I don't even know if he would have made. I mean, it's like about as tall as him, maybe a little bit taller.
Yeah.
Was he could go for a fucking 450 off the cage? Like, what are we doing? And Sting eventually power bombs him off of the cage.
Pretty nice a table. Power bomb to like that was forceful, and then the convulsions were so fucking
through the barbed wire.
Yeah, expertly done.
He knows how to convulse.
Yes, he does.
Chris Park. Then rips him out of the barbed wire and throws him in the cage, and it gets the win. I guess Sting does. So
it was enjoyable.
I enjoyed it. I had fun watching it, and that's really all that matters.
For sure. This is very similar to the opener of like, it was definitely a shit show, but it was a fun watch. The opener, much more of a shit show, but
TNA, this era, is just such a good product to just turn your brain off.
That's just what I did. Like at times I was on my phone a lot, but it was like great background. You know, other times I was a little more dialed in, but yeah, again, knowing that I didn't have to pay that close attention, I was just writing down the shit that I thought was funny by and large. Like, fun watch overall.
Yeah, commentary will let you know what matters, right?
Exactly.
Because they only scream at the important parts. So,
yeah.
Well, that brings us to our main event. We got the NWA World Title on the line. The champion Christian Cage defending against Kurt Angle.
And this is Angle's first shot at the belt, right?
That is correct. Yes.
The promo he cut before. I don't know if you noticed, but his eyes did not move. Real, like you could tell. So I wrote perk Angle. Like, you know, he's all perked up here. But I'm guessing he was probably like reading off a prompter, because like his eyes did not move. And like he was not looking at the camera, and he was not looking at the interviewer. He was just like straight on. And a pretty intense promo too, but like that stood out to me for whatever reason.
No, I'm with you. I thought he might have been looking at the interviewer, but I could be wrong. I
may be wrong too. I thought the interviewer was like behind, like on the other side. I don't know. Who cares?
It made him look terrifying because the way his eyes were,
which I guess is the goal.
I was scared of him. So yeah, to your point, it's the goal.
I want what he's on.
You're gonna have to have a lot of it. But also here, a part of this is old Joey Samoa Samoa Joe is the unofficial enforcer of this match, but he's also on the match graphic. So I feel like that's pretty official.
Yeah, that's pretty official. Although he didn't come out till what, like 5 minutes into the match.
Maybe that's the unofficial part because he didn't come before the match and they couldn't, they didn't.
Well,
they didn't
maybe
wait
he
for
was
him.
coming before the match and that's why he came during the match.
Do you think Joe's packing?
Back then, yeah.
Was it just shriveled up since then?
I don't know. Maybe gotten a little smaller as he's gotten a little wider. I don't know.
That's the thing. You gain weight and you lose however much. And I think it's the opposite too.
I bet he's packing though.
I don't think so, dude. I mean, I bet you it's like really veiny though. It probably smells good, but doesn't look good.
Powerful.
Oh, he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
That's for sure. Well, Samoa Joe's cock aside, we got Christian versus Kurt Angle here. And so the backstory here. So Joe and Kurt had been feuding for several months, been trading wins back and forth.
I've seen all those matches. They're great.
They're great. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And Samoa Joe's his motivation, he wants Kurt Angle to win the title so that when they have their rematch, Joe can take the title off of Kurt. And Kurt doesn't know if he can trust Joe, and then Christian's off on the side playing mind games with both of them.
He's got all these consultants or alleged consultants. Oh, I've got a consultant.
The entire, all the impacts leading up to this, it's Christian's like, I got a consultant. I'm gonna give you a hint by the end of the night. And then it's just and then he's like, is Joe my consultant? I don't know, maybe. And Kurt is going over to Joe like, are you helping Christian? And Joe's like, no. And Kurt's like, well, I think you are. And it's so Christian's trying to make them go against each other. But eventually the consultant ends up being Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, why is Scott Steiner the guy you go to learn how to beat Kurt Angle? I don't even know if they've ever wrestled each other.
Not to my knowledge, but maybe at one point in WWE before Kurt left, but I can't remember any.
Yeah, I don't know. But which is funny because they were even when Christian first brought this consultant thing up, Kurt is in the middle of the ring and he's like, is it Brock Lesnar? Is it Goldberg? So we're hyping it up like it's going to be this huge fucking star that ends up just being Steiner, who had already been with the company. He had just been off TV for a while. So yeah, and Christian, I don't know, watching this match, what do you think Christian learned from Scott Steiner?
Nothing.
He does do push-ups at some point.
Oh yeah. Not much.
That's about it. Yeah, so
lot of bullshit down the stretch in this one, but again, very fun main event.
No, are you familiar with Jeff Jarrett's early run in TNA?
Yeah. This reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah. It's like a Jeff Jarrett match, but better is how I described it.
I can get down with that.
The athleticism and the actual maneuvers are more captivating than Jeff Jarrett just flinging around his guitar and doing struts to me.
I said, I've watched most of those 2005 pay-per-views, and I think he had the belt, at least half he had a year-long reign, and it was no matter what, he'd always find a way to win in the end.
No, yeah. I mean,
through
the first
50 means of bullshit.
Yeah, the first 4 or so years, he's almost always the champion.
Well, and that's Russo's boy, and wasn't Jarrett wasn't he involved in the booking and shit too? Yeah,
pretty sure. So I have a lot of notes here because there's just so much shit happening. Feel free to just
good because I didn't take
get in
like
there.
I said, I didn't take many, but I quite enjoyed it. So you could lead the way.
So the match is pretty solid, just from a pure wrestling standpoint. The first chunk of it, it's whatever. It's
just good
Angle,
work.
Yeah, just good stuff. Angle locks in the ankle lock. Christian uses the ref. He claws the ref to try to claw himself to the ropes. He gets there. The ref is all disheveled, and this allows Christian to hit a low blow to Kurt, and then an unprettier for a 2 count. A lot of good near falls in this match, but then So Christian does when he does the push-ups. I felt compelled to note that for some reason.
I do remember.
Because that's the only thing that he could have consulted him on. And then Angle fights back, hits his German suplex combo, but does 7 German suplexes, which is pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
And then this brings out AJ Styles, who is recently aligned with Christian. And he basically comes out to basically draw Samoa Joe out. So
and he runs away just like a little kid running away.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That big ass Samoan running at you. While all this is happening, the ref is, of course, distracted by that tomfoolery. This allows Christian to hit Kurt Angle with a chair. Hits him with a frog splash. Yeah. Mike TNA is like, what happened?
Well, yeah, and Don's like, I swear I saw it. But you can hear the contact because the camera's still on like Joe and AJ running away, and you hear the clunk. And TNA's like, what happened to West? I swear, Mike, I saw it. He hit him with a chair.
You can trust Don West. You know he would not lie to you.
No, he would not.
Hits another unprettier. Christian does for another 2 count. I bet on that one. I was like, oh, that's probably the finish.
Yeah. I did too,
the ref takes a hilarious bump off the apron into the barricade.
And then he is just deceased for the next 5 minutes.
Passed away. Yeah, he's
not
done.
Move a muscle.
And this allows Angle slam to Christian, but there's no ref. Samoa Joe's back. I guess he murdered and sodomized AJ backstage because he's done for.
With his huge hog.
With his average good smelling hog. Throws the ref back in there. 2 counts. Tomp goes in because we need more people in here. We got Tomko comes in, PHJ to Samoa Joe. And but he gets shit canned by Kurt pretty handily. Just German suplexed. And then Scott Steiner's out.
Scotty.
With his goofy ass pipe. I don't know what this pipe is used. It's a giant pipe.
It is massive.
It's
like 4 times the size of the lead pipe in Clue.
It's always like a big ass Clue pipe. Like I feel like if you had like a smaller, like a wrench, like that would do more damage because you could swing it.
There's too much surface area with this pipe.
Yeah, it's like a big piece of PVC.
Yeah.
Just clumsily swinging it and it doesn't hit anything. He also gets shit canned by Kurt. And Samoa Joe is in there. He wipes out Tomko and Steiner with a suicide dive to the outside, and he chairs them both to the back.
There's the little tease, though. Like, Kurt shoved Joe like right before the suicide dive, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because part of me in that moment is like, oh, maybe Joe was really the consultant ultimately, and then no, he proves his loyalty and flies outside. I thought that was a good little moment.
No, yeah, you're spot on. So Joe basically takes out Tomko and Steiner from the equation. In the ring, ref is still dead, I think, probably. I don't know.
Not
Christian
moved a muscle.
is in the ankle lock and he taps out, but there's no ref.
Yet again.
So Christian grabs this big cartoony pipe, pipes Angle in the face with it, a third unprettier, and gets the 1, 2, 3.
He shakes the ref alive, who immediately comes to life.
That's all he needed, I guess. Sometimes we just need a good shaking.
Yeah.
To get us back into it. Got the Alabama shakes. But yeah, Christian wins through somewhat dubious means, I guess.
And was this his first title defense as well? Didn't he win it previous pay-per-view? Yeah.
Certainly was. But I mean, a lot of bullshit and tomfoolery, but I was entertained by this.
Still, very fun. And I did not know who won. I assumed Christian was going to win, just given that he had just won the belt. So not knowing who won made a couple of those near falls more interesting, made that slight shove moment with Joe a little more interesting. So, after talking through it all, I think definitely the match of the night, even with all the bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, the main event scene in this time period is pretty strong. Like I said, Christian's run is awesome, and then you got Kurt and Joe are kind of off and on.
AJ lingering.
AJ's
around.
He kind of becomes like a henchman for a little bit, but he's always. It's actually a pretty entertaining period for him too. It's just kind of like the dummy hillbilly backup for him, and Tomko's here, Steiner's here. It's just a bunch of nonsense, but
I was here for it.
I was here for it as well. So, but yeah, man. that brings Against All Odds to a close.
What a good time.
If you had to give this bad boy a grade out of 10, what do you think you throw at it?
That's tough. Because like this is gonna be higher. My rating will be higher than like the sheer quality of the show, but just based on my enjoyment, I'll give it a 6.5.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think that was about the cage match rating too, which I'm surprised it was that high.
Yeah, you can't go too much higher than like 7, just because it was not that good. But for whatever reason, it was just a fun watch.
Yeah, it's just, you said it earlier, like the WCW undertones are very prevalent. It's just dumb.
But it was better than like that shit, though.
Yeah, like the in-ring stuff, like, it's like every match had like its moments of good wrestling, but it was kind of clouded in other bullshit.
Other than the base brawl and the mixed tag, like those two didn't have much to offer.
Yeah, the base brawl match was the cleanest match on the card, if that gives you any idea of what this show was. But that's TNA for you. So
yeah, it was fun. I'm like, again, when you told me, do you want to do this? And I pull up the card, I'm like, buckle up. And it lived up to the expectations of just looking at the card and be like, this is going to be wild.
Dude, the moment I pulled the card up, saw it, and then pictured you looking at this card out of context.
I was at work,
gave me the biggest chortle.
At work at like 11 a.m. You had texted me. I was gonna say yes anyway, but I'm like, let me take a look at this, and yeah, it did not disappoint.
Well, I'm glad. There wasn't enough, not enough brain busters on this show. But speaking of which, if you want more brain busters, maybe you can check out the Brainbuster Boys. Once again, man,
we haven't
appreciate you coming on
since October, but I am still doing the Phoenix Splash podcast, which is all Japanese wrestling, about once a month, once every 3 weeks or so, kind of just whenever we can do it. Myself and JCB he's from Band from Ringside. It's on the Visionaries Global Media Network, which is where Brainbuster Boys was as well. And I've also guested on High Five Tom's Ring of Honor watch-alongs of late. We have done the first 2 of a trilogy between Bryan Danielson and Roderick Strong from late 2005 for the ROH World title. Fucking bangers.
That sounds pretty slutty.
Yeah, both of them are on YouTube. So like we do, we press play and we watch the match and talk about it. So feel free to watch along yourself. But those are also on Visionaries Global Media. So I've done like 5 podcasts in the last 4 weeks, even though I'm not. This has been like a nice run after not a whole bunch over the previous few months. So happy to be back in the saddle. And again, much appreciated having me back on here. And as always, looking forward to coming back. Yeah!
Once again, thank you to Brett for hopping on my back and skipping through the meadow that is TNA. The shit meadow. It's flowers full of shit is what this is. And we just backpacked through this whole thing and took in the smells and the sights and the tastes. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point, but appreciate Brett coming on. Appreciate you listening. Follow all of his shit in the description. Check out his podcast, the Phoenix Splash podcast. You can find that through Visionaries Global Media. Also check out the Brainbuster Boys, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, all that stuff. And yeah, what's my hat doing? I haven't looked at my hat. I feel like it's going backwards somehow. I feel like it doesn't do favors for my hairline. Is my head just shaped weird? I think it might just be the deal here. I'm getting really subconscious about my head lately. My barber said that I have a little, like a muscle right here. You see this? My hair's a little, but that's why it's like a different color than the rest of the side of my head. It's because it's just like lumpy. I'm a lumpy-headed boy, I guess. It's gonna be interesting when I lose all my hair. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Yeah. Hopefully I look like Justin from Get Show. That boy has a lovely, lovely head. And that's not sarcastic, by the way. It's smooth. I want to just I want to like put my fingers into his nostrils and roll his head along a bowling lane and knock down some pins. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Am I still recording, or am I just talking to myself? Hopefully I'm not recording this. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Love ya. Appreciate the support. Get the hell out of here, I guess. See ya. Goodbye. Mwah. I'm hard.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it.